I'm Carl Wadley, and I'm studying the effects of students working in mixed groups. A little bit of background information. I'm a secondary teacher. I teach world history at Levelland High School. I'm studying the effects of grouping the high-level students and lower-level students, also termed as mixed groups. My colleagues and I often ponder whether group work is beneficial for all students that are involved. 25% of these students that are in my class are identified as special ed, and at times they need this information directly taught to them. In my opinion, pairing these students together would allow the higher students to peer teach some of the students that may be having trouble or grasping some of the concepts. My school has a large Hispanic population, and 7% of these students do not even speak English. 60% of these students will be classified as low socioeconomic status. Because they live in poverty. My class averages 18 students, and I have 17 students that are in special ed. I have found that most of the students in the class are capable learners, but they often display insufficient work habits. Thus, they do not produce academic work to the best of their ability. The highly motivated students are great leaders, but they tend to separate themselves from some of the non-motivated students. Okay, purpose. The purpose of our research is to determine the effects of students working in mixed groups. The students were gauged on satisfaction, contribution, and achievement. My research questions. First one is, do mixed groups increase or decrease student satisfaction on daily work among one group or both groups? Second question, do mixed groups increase or decrease student contribution on daily work among one group or both groups? And the last question is, will mixed groups increase or decrease student achievement on daily work among one group or both groups? Okay, I'm going to get into all three of those questions a little bit more here in just a second. Participants. In this mixed methodology design, a collective instrument case study was combined with qualitative measures and quantitative measures to answer my research questions. Participants are students in my 10th grade world history class. Two of my classes participated in this particular study. The first class had 17 students and the second class had 16 students. Student demographics. The demographic breakdowns for my first class is 11 Hispanic, 5 white, and 2 blacks. The second class has 10 Hispanic, 4 white, and 2 black. Okay, the methodology. Some of the interventions does pairing high-performing students with low-performing students increase or decrease student effectiveness with different rate of time pairings among one group or both groups? So the question will have several different variables that are tested to determine the effectiveness of the time correlation. So these students were grouped a certain amount of time for each week. So the first week I grouped them 25%. Second week had a mix of 50 and 75%, and then I had 1 week where we did complete group work. And so I compared the grades on similar activities based on the students grouping compared to some of the classes that were not used in the mixed groups. The qualitative measures were focus group interview for the students, active participant checklist. The quantitative measures are students' daily work, students' quiz grades, and students' assessments. So grades were, we'll call it quantitative measures. Here on table 2 I have my data collection matrix. First question is, do mixed groups increase or decrease student satisfaction on daily work among one group or both groups? And I use focus group as my instrument to measure this particular question, because in order to gauge student satisfaction I felt like I needed to actually receive their perspective in order to gauge it accurately. Alright, second research question is, do mixed groups increase or decrease student contribution among one group or both groups? And so for this particular question, I used active participant since I will be in the classroom. I'll be able to monitor the students, see how effective they were in their groups. I could, being an active participant was the best instrument for me to gauge this particular question. The third question is, will mixed groups increase or decrease student achievement on daily work among one group or both groups? For this one, I use archival data. We use grades on daily work and assessments. Next is my instrument soundness. The tools that I use allow the students to work freely without much outside involvement. Each tool produced data for every question that was presented in my data collection matrix. Alright, results. Student satisfaction working in the mixed groups. So, with student satisfaction, I had 75% of the students were satisfied with working in the mixed groups. We had 10% of students that dislike working in the mixed groups, and we'll probably touch on that a little bit later when we talk about the relationships. And we had another 15% that were indifferent. They felt like they could work well in either group and environment. Alright. Student time on task. That's my figure 3.3. As we can see, 90% of the students felt like they spent more time on task compared to 10% of the students that felt like they were not affected by working in the mixed groups. Grades. This one was a biggie for me because the students showed improvement on both daily work and assessment. The chart above shows the overall grade for the 6 weeks compared to the classes that were not placed in the mixed groups. So my classes that were placed in the study had less students, but they had close to the amount of A's that my class that had 6 to 7 more students actually had. They had higher grades, A, B, and C grades than my other class, and so that was a direct correlation to me that working in the mixed groups did have some type of impact on the students' assessment and daily work grades. Alright, conclusion. From the research, I can recommend placing these students into mixed groups by determining the high achieving students and placing them with some of the students that may be having a harder time comprehending the information. When students are properly grouped, they will be able to complete assigned work with less time off task and a higher rate of completion. Smaller groups can be joined and the mixed groups will still be successful. But one thing you want to avoid is the groups getting too big to where students are thrown off task by other students having conversation or just discussing the particular activity. Working in the mixed groups is a good way to produce a cooperative learning community for all students in the classroom. There will be periods of time where you will actually see peer teaching and peer learning. It will be evident and beneficial for both sets of students. Maximizing the benefits of mixed groups will produce more effective groups and increase student achievement in all assignments and assessments. Limitations. I did not face many limitations as I was conducting my research. The only limitation that I ran into were when we first got into the group, some of the students might not have liked their partners as much as they would if we had just randomly selected the groups. So, but once they started working together, they actually became familiar with each other. They actually worked good in the groups together. So Another limitation that you could possibly face would be the high level student doing most of the work and is the other student just piggybacking or not doing the work but still receiving a high grade, which would not be beneficial for the student because they wouldn't be learning anything. So making sure that there is peer teaching and peer learning would be beneficial. I had one group where this was a problem, but I had a strong leader and he was able to get the other student to work in order to learn, and it became a very cooperative and beneficial group. Works cited was a Sager data collection, building a valid and reliable data collection plan, and acknowledgments go out to Dr. Hannel, professor at Lubbock Christian University. That is all I have today for my presentation. Thank you.